right, let's talk about mutual funds. So mutual funds, there's a couple of things you want to look at, whether it's type A or type B. Type A is what's called front loaded. Front loaded means you pay your loading charge, the charge for making the investment, when you start the account. If you have a type B, it's an end loading, meaning you pay that loading charge when you sell. Okay, so you want to watch for that. This happens to be a type A, which means we're going to pay our loading charge up front. Jarrell Tarver invested $15,000 in Boyd Kern Mutual Fund. The net asset value was $18.46 per share. It was front loaded, and the loading charge or rate was 6.75%. What's his loading charge? Well, we have our formula up here for the loading charge. It's the loading rate, of course written as a decimal. So let's move the decimal 2 places to the left there. That gives us 0.0675 times the amount you're investing, and he was investing $15,000. Okay, so his loading charge, or the amount he has to pay those investors that are doing the work for him, is 0.0675 times 15,000. Okay, so he has a loading charge of $1,012.50. Okay, so here we're dealing with Jarrell Tarver again with his $15,000 investment. Only this time we want to know how many shares he purchased. So notice another formula has been added here. Make sure you write that down. And it tells us the number of shares you purchased. You take the amount you invested minus the loading charge, because that will tell you how much money you have left to invest. And then you divide it by the price per share at the time, okay, or the net value per share. So let's take a look. Let's find the loading charge, which we've done before. So again, you do the loading rate, move the decimal 2 places to the left, so we have 0.0675, multiply that by the amount invested, in this case is $15,000. So we have, again, $1,015 or $1,012.50 was our loading charge for this situation. Okay, now let's use that to find the number of shares. So for the number of shares, you take the amount you invested, which was $15,000. I'm just going to write it right over the top here, minus the loading charge, which was $1,012.50. You divide that by the net value per share, which was $18.46. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite that down here. We're doing 15,000 minus $1,012.50, and then we will divide it by $18.46. So do the subtraction first. Okay, so we subtract on top and we get 13,987.50. We divide by 18.46. When we do that, we get 757.72. Okay, now it will just depend on what they want you to round off to. This could be rounded to 758 or 757.7. Okay, but that is the way that we calculate it. All right, here's Winter Park Utility Mutual Fund. It has a net asset value of $20.75. It's front loaded, so again, you have to pay your loading charge up front at 6.8%. He's investing $6,900. What was his loading charge? Okay, so again, this is pretty straightforward. We just move the decimal 2 places to the left. We have our loading rate times the amount invested. Okay, it does say amount invested or the amount of sell. That's because if it's end loaded, you would use the amount you're selling it for. But if it's front end, it's the amount you're investing. Okay, so they did give us a few unnecessary numbers in there, but we just go ahead and calculate. Okay, when I do that, I get $469.20 would be the loading charge.